Alright, so here are 5 players you should be looking at from the NFL Combine in 2023 for the Cincinnati Bengals. So the first player they talk about is obviously Michael Mayer. We've talked about him many times on the channel. He is the best tight end in this upcoming draft, and he is the Notre Dame prospect. Coming in at a 92.5, this man is an absolute monster. He did play 12 games last year, 12 games the year before that, and 12 games the year before that. He did go ahead and finish with a total of 809 yards, 840, and 450. He is 265 pounds, 6'4", and an absolute monster. And in all honesty, probably could put him at, like, a right tackle type position. Eventually, maybe, Not really, but you could actually have him as a blocker. He can be a solid blocker too, which is actually pretty nice. 9 touchdowns last season, 7 the year before that, and 2 the year before that. Now, the only problem with Michael Mayer, and whether they go with Michael Mayer or they go with Dalton, or now there's even more people talking about Luke here, which I don't know if I love Luke. Luke is coming off an injury, and there was actually a whole entire article written about Luke, and I really still to this day will not put Luke to the Cincinnati Bengals. He's went to college at Oregon State Beavers, which is a very small school. It's not going to be a top 10, or a Big 10 school, so he hasn't played the really crazy competition. He's a 72.5 grade-wise, so I just don't see why you would even get him. It wouldn't make any sense to me. This guy only played 2 games last year because of injury, 13 games the year before that, and then 7 games before that. And this guy just makes zero sense for you to go ahead and go after. If let's say, for example, you can't get Michael Mayer or Dalton, then I still love Darnell Washington, who's an absolute freaking beast and definitely could help out the Bengals immensely. But the problem right now is Michael Mayer might not be there as a 28th overall pick. So if you are going tight end, my second option would be Darnell Washington, because most likely Dalton will be off the board too. So my guess is go with Darnell Washington. And if you're not going Darnell Washington with that first pick, then you can go down the list here, and someone like Luke from Michigan is a really solid pick. You can get him easily in around like 5, 6, 7. So I definitely love to see him win the team. He could be a really solid player. Other than that, though, this tight end draft class is amazing, but there's not too many of these players that I'm like going too crazy over, if that makes sense. Like, I like them, but they're not like, drop your jaw over them. The second guy is Kelly Ringo. Now, Eric DeCosta for the Baltimore Ravens said that there is a solid 10 cornerbacks that can be taken in the top 2 rounds, and they're all really solid picks. And they really are. This draft class for cornerback is actually really freaking massive. I mean, you go down this list here, you can see 6, 10, 21, 23, 39, 42... 42, 49, 60, 60. I mean, there's a lot of players inside the top 100 at cornerback for this draft class. So that's why this draft class is so freaking crazy amazing. I know Duke wants to take a cornerback in the second round, which I think is a really solid pick, and I think I would get behind that completely. Especially in my opinion is you go with tackle in the first round, and you go with a solid second round cornerback. But nonetheless, though, some players I love my man Dante Banks here. He is a solid player. He's gonna go really early though, so he's gonna go like probably early second round. So there's a couple other guys I do like. We talked about this guy before, who's a really solid, probably a 3rd, 4th round pick in Jacolean Bennett, another really solid corner I like. The guy that they have listed here is Kelly Ringo. Now, Kelly Ringo, right here is ranked number 75, so he's probably going to be a 2nd, 3rd round pick. If Duke gets his way, then he's going to be a 2nd round pick, and they could easily target this guy. He's a really solid cornerback. Last season had 1 touchdown. Season before that, he had 3 touchdowns. Keep in mind, though, that's because he also plays offense. He plays offense and defense. So it's one of those things where he's a multi-talented athlete, and it does happen usually whenever it comes to college. A lot of times these guys are not just good at one position. So he played 32 in the box, 0 deep, 755 at corner, 28 in the slot, and 4 on the defensive line. So really solid overall player. He did play at Georgia, so he played the big teams. He played the best teams possible. So he actually has experience playing the best of the best. Third player, Darnell Wright. Let's be honest, if I ever could say one player in my comics section that gets talked about more, I don't even know what could be. Darnell Wright is the, actually no, Dwayne Jones is the guy everyone talks about. Darnell Wright is not the guy. I'm thinking about Dwayne Jones. Darnell Wright is a pretty solid right tackle. He played a lot of his career at left tackle, and then this last season converted to right tackle. So he can play a little bit of both. Now, the good thing about him is because he is inside the, still inside the top 100, but 71, he's going to be available in the second or third round. So this could be a guy, if the Cincinnati Bengals go with a tight end with the first pick, could be a guy they target in the second or third round. Again, like I said, he's very versatile. He can play both positions, right tackle, left tackle. So let's say you go into next season, right? And you're like, okay, well, now we have, and that the more I've looked into Mike McGlinchey, the more I don't like him going to Cincinnati. Because, first off, he's going to cost a lot of money, but also because he's not really that good of a pass blocker. Somebody commented down below and told me that, and I looked more into him. He's really not good pass blocking. He's a good run blocker, but he's not a good pass blocker, and I don't really like him going to Cincinnati for that reason then. But nonetheless, though, this guy, you could put it right tackle or left tackle, and you can kind of, vice versa. So let's say, for example, you go to next season, and for some reason, some way, Collins is still your right tackle. Well, you can put this guy over Jonah Williams at left tackle, and let's say halfway through the season, it just isn't working out for Collins. You want to cut him or trade him, move this guy to right tackle, and he can play both positions freaking amazingly. Definitely amazing guy. I haven't talked about him too much, but Dwayne Jones is a guy everyone talks about. Whenever I talk about Antoine Harris, I talk about Broderick Jones, I talk about, Peter Shalonsky. This is the guy people talk about. He is an amazing right tackle. And I'm talking about God tier right tackle. He has only played 80 snaps in his college career at left tackle, so he's really just strictly a right tackle. Now, I have no problem with that. I do like versatile players. I love it when a player can play both sides of the ball. It helps out overall with injuries. It also helps with depth purposes. But nonetheless, though, this guy is a player a lot of people talk about for a good reason. He is a monster at right tackle. And he is what we would call, with Broderick Jones being a franchise left tackle, this guy right here is a franchise right tackle. And you love to see that whenever you're looking at anything in football. Is when you have a player can solidify that position for 6, 7, 8 years. This is a guy that could do that. Now, the problem is he is going to be a first-round pick. First, early second. I'm talking about very, very early second. Now, could Cincinnati, in a crazy twist of events, craziest twist ever, let's say, for example, take Antoine Harris here with their first pick, or Broderick Jones, whoever's available, and then trade up in the second round, early second round, and get Dwayne Jones? It's possible. And I wouldn't be against the concept. Now I'm being selfish, because I wouldn't be against the concept to do that, right? Because in the perfect world and this, magical land where everything works out, that would be awesome, right? You have a star franchise left tackle, franchise right tackle. You're looking good. You're smelling good. You probably have Brandon Perdon. I don't know. Anyway, though, but no. It's just you would lose too many draft picks doing that, and it just wouldn't be worth it at the end of the day because, again, you'd be giving too much draft capital, and there's so many good players in this draft that I'd rather you go and take the time to get some other players than go ahead and trade up to get one said player. There's a lot of good depth in this draft. When it comes to this, tackle class, it's not as depth as tight end or cornerback, but there's still some really solid players as you go down this list here. So there are some players, like, for example, Tyler Steen, who isn't really the greatest player of all time. He's probably going undrafted, but he's gonna be I think a really solid backup in the NFL. Matthew Bergergen, we talked about him before. He's a really solid tackle from Syracuse. I like him a lot. So again, like I said, there's a lot of players here where you could trade up and go get two franchises, but it's really up to what the Bengals want to do at the end of the day. The last guy they talked about is Devontae Banks, and this is a guy I talked about earlier today. And I will be honest with you, it makes perfect sense. I absolutely love this guy. I love both these cornerbacks from Maryland. Whether you go with him or, again, like I said, you go with my man over here. But just going back, homing in on him, he's a 72 overall grade-wise. He did have 4 touchdowns last year, again, offensively. But he did play 12 games. He only played 2 games in 5 games. His other 2 seasons due to him not being a starter, which isn't really a huge problem. Again, Maryland has a really good secondary overall-wise, so I'm not too upset about that. But solid player. Really, really solid player. Could definitely become a star for you guys. And you already got, what? Cheeto, Cam Taylor-Britt, Mike Hilton. If Eli Apple walks, you got a pretty solid second-round pick guy. And now, if I'm being honest, let me see where this guy is listed. So let's say, for example, let's take the realistic pick here, right? If I'm the Bears, I'm going to see how this mock draft actually goes. Okay. Let's see where. What does it have? Okay, so it had the Bengals take. Wow. It has the Bengals taking Tyreek Stevenson from the Miami Hurricanes. This is I've never seen this by a mock draft. When I've simulated this mock draft, by the way, over 100 times, I have never, ever, ever seen it have the Bengals take a cornerback right there. That's actually crazy to me. Sorry, not a cornerback, him. I have never seen him get taken. But anyway, though, based on this mock draft, let me see where the Bears next picking. Okay. So this is now the Bears are picking in what, the late second round, almost mid-late second round. He's off the board. According to this mock draft, he was taken. Was he a first round pick? Where was my cornerback guy? Joey Porter obviously was taken first. That makes sense. Yeah, he was taken with the 41st pick, which Cincinnati doesn't pick again until the 60th pick. So he's probably going to be off the board in the second round. If you were being honest here, he's going to not be there if you want to take him in the second round. But that's why Bennett is also a really solid pick in the second round, and I think he could be a really solid player overall-wise for you guys for the foreseeable future. But if you're going to take my man, the Maryland guy, what's his name? If you're going to take the Tennessee Titans now guy, Deontay Banks, you're going to have to take him early. You're really going to have to take him first round, and I don't like him first round. I really don't like him first round. I think if he falls in the second round, maybe, but first round, I'm going to go with him now. Guys, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.